Hello, Mooncrafters. Welcome. This is Craft of Moon. For this August full moon lunation, my guidance video as well as the horoscopes for each of the rising signs is going to be on Nadia Shah's channel. And I'm really honored to be welcomed back by Nadia this month to offer that guidance on her channel. So if you want to find out what I have to say about this full moon and how the moon moves through the signs in the last 2 weeks and what she's going to be doing in the upcoming 2 weeks, this is how I normally do my guidance videos. Head on over to Nadia Shah's channel. The guidance video and all 12 horoscopes are there on her channel. So I welcome you to go there, subscribe to her channel, like the video on her channel, send comments. I'll be answering the comments over on that channel. And please, a big round of support and thank you for Nadia for welcoming me back there on her channel for the full moon lunation. I do want to say that this month, August, is my birthday month. And in honor of my birthday month, I am giving a discount code. And I was actually born in Virgo, so it's going to be valid for August, but it's going to also be valid till the end of Virgo season on September 22nd at 11:45 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time when the sun shifts into Libra. So the coupon code is going to be valid for that whole time. It's for 50% off any of my standard one-on-one readings, including my premium session, my standard session, and my basic session. 50% off any of those, and also 50% off my coaching package of a 6-session coaching package. So you can use the code. It's called Birthday 2025, all one word. You can go to my website. The code is in the description below. Go to the website linked into the description below, ryan-hunt.com, and use that code to get your session. You can use the session anytime in the future. You don't have to use it right away. So if you want to take advantage of the discount now while it's available and then save your session up for a birthday, for a solar return, or some other special occasion, you can do that. You can also buy the coaching package. And on the coaching package, you have the flexibility to book those coaching sessions when they work for you. And one of the nice things about the coaching sessions is they have similar access to my calendar as the premium sessions at a very significant discount. So if you're interested in booking a reading with me, booking a coaching session, or if you're interested in mentorship on any aspects of astrology, including Hellenistic natal astrology, horary astrology, or astrocartography, you can use that discount code to get a coaching package or a mentorship package as well, 6-session package. For this particular video, what I thought I would do is something a little bit different. One of the things that's happening really soon is the Great Benefic Conjunction, or at least that's what some people are calling it. This is when Jupiter and Venus are going to be forming a conjunction in Cancer very close to the actual exaltation degree of Jupiter. And people are calling it the Great Benefic Conjunction. So what I thought I would do for this particular video is highlight that in the chart. I'm going to bring the chart up on the screen here. We're going to highlight that chart and walk through the chart in 2-hour increments so we get each rising sign and do just a delineation, really short, really quick, a short delineation for each of the 12 rising signs for this Jupiter-Venus Great Benefic Conjunction. So let me bring up the chart and let's take a look and see how that works for us. All right, so you should see on the screen here, hopefully all my equipment is working here. Let me just adjust this microphone a little bit lower so that I can see the screen. I'm going between a large kind of display in front of me and a laptop screen. So let's highlight this here. And I kind of wanted to start out with Cancer as the rising sign. And we can see Jupiter and Venus here conjoined in Cancer in the 15th degree of Cancer, which is the exaltation degree of Jupiter. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, but it is also said to be exalted specifically in the 15th degree of Cancer. So 14 degrees and any number of minutes of that qualifies as the 15th degree. So we see Jupiter and Venus conjoined here in Cancer. The first sign we're going to go through is Cancer as the rising sign. I know a lot of people start out at Aries when they do these. I'm starting out at Cancer, not just because Jupiter and Venus are in Cancer, but also Cancer is actually the rising sign for the Thema Mundi, which is the theoretical birth chart of the world. And so since the Cancer is the rising sign there, I'd like to start with Cancer as the rising sign in these delineations. So Jupiter represents expansion, abundance. Jupiter is the teacher, the sage. The greater benefic is one of the names of Jupiter. Venus represents aesthetic, beauty, passion, things that are feminine, and Jupiter has more of a what we might think of as a yang quality, whereas Venus has more of a yin quality. In actuality, Venus moves between yin and yang, whether she's in a morning star phase or an evening star phase. But in the general kind of universal archetypal significations of Venus, we think of her as a yin. But because she does move through this, it's worthy to note that right now, as the morning star, she is in her most masculine phase, and there were actual stories and there's statues of the bearded Venus. So we think of Venus in the morning star phase as almost a non-binary gender kind of expression. And this is the bearded Venus, the masculine phase of Venus. So we have this masculine phase of Venus, this non-binary masculinized mask kind of quality of Venus being in a conjunction with Jupiter, the planet of abundance, in Cancer. And some of the qualities of Cancer are, we think of home, cozy, but because Cancer is a water sign and it is the rising sign of the Thema Mundi, it also represents the expression of life bursting into being. This is like when we think of the flood of the Nile in Egypt and the life that brought into the world, this is what Cancer brings. This flooding of abundance, of life, of these kind of gardens that are just filled with all kinds of vines and flowers, and they look wild, but actually they're very well tended. This is the kind of life that we think of with Cancer rising. And so with Jupiter and Venus here, we're thinking about refined aesthetic, passionate beauty, abundantly oozing out through the pores of our life and our expression. And it's just, we can think of this really rich, just juicy expression of abundance and passion. So that's kind of the general overall archetype of the three, Venus, Jupiter, and Cancer. And so now as we step through the rising signs, putting that into the first house, we think of how this might come out in a person's physical well-being, persona, how they express themselves. This could be the positive results of a plastic surgery. We could think of this being a great photo shoot for somebody's business headshots or something. We could think of this coming into play as just landing the right outfit to wear out on the town going out to the clubs or something. So this is just anything that's dealing with our front persona is fair game to be expressed through this. But also anything that deals with the deeper part of who we feel we are in our being, our identity, who we want to be, who we aspire to be, and who we just really kind of sit with, how we are. And this can be a time when our own identity feels the most gelled, like the most who we are. We can just have these kind of like experiences of, oh yeah, this is who I was meant to be. What's happening right now in my life? This is who I was meant to be. This is an experience of Jupiter, Venus in the first house. It's also can be thought of in relationship to partnership, because the first house is in the first seventh house axis. And in relationship to partners, this can be a moment where if you're a Cancer rising and you're in a partnership with someone, this could be that moment where you feel the most seen and witnessed by your partner and by those around you. So that's Jupiter and Venus in Cancer in the first house. So let's go ahead and take the next one. Let's see, wrong direction. No, there we go. Okay, so here we have Jupiter, Venus, Cancer in the 12th house. For Leo rising, the sun is in Leo, Mercury's in Leo, but we're really focusing on this Venus, Jupiter, Cancer in the 12th house. The 12th house signifies things like hospitals and institutions. This is the house of hidden enemies, self-undoing, deep anxiety, deep fears. So what are we looking at here? The two great benefics of the sky landing in the 12th house of these kind of darker waters. This is a time where we can be working through some of our deep emotional undercurrents of our life, where really we can bring some healing energy into past traumas. We can be working, if we're in therapy, we can be really processing a lot of stuff and just like bringing it out into the light and working through it. This can be a time where if we work in a hospital, if you're a Leo rising and you happen to work in the hospital or in any kind of healthcare industry, but especially in mental health, this might be a time where things could actually be a little challenging. There could be so much going on in your industry, in your profession, in your career, that there's just so much happening that it's hard to keep a hold of, right? So that's on the one hand, there's so much happening that's hard to keep a hold of. On the other hand, all the stuff that might be coming up right now can be really good fuel to be working through and processing through therapy and through coaching and through any of our kind of self-work that we're working on. The stuff that comes up is good fuel for that. Let's go ahead and move on to the next house. I'm just moving through these really quickly. So just again, taking what we talked about earlier, the Venus, Jupiter archetype in Cancer, placing it in each house. Here we're seeing it in the 11th house. Right up here, this is for Virgo rising. So if you're a Virgo rising, Venus and Jupiter in Cancer land in your 11th house of friends, community, social circles. And really, this is any kind of subject or topic of thing, any material goods or any relationships that we have that support our public life and our reputation. Because the 11th house is the succeedent house to the 10th house of career and public life. So we can think of anything in this sphere being relative to our friends. If you're a Virgo rising, you might think of how this is, impacting your audiences. If you're a creator or a performer, how this might be impacting your audiences. You could have some of the greatest shows of your life. If you're a stand-up comedian, this might be the time. Jove is the planet of people being jovial, right? Of having a good time. So, let's say you're a Virgo rising and you're a stand-up comedian. Maybe you have the best show of your life on this conjunction. who knows? So this is anything that's really dealing with our friends. If you're a Virgo rising, you could start thinking, you could see feeling an abundance of friendships, an abundance of relationships in that kind of friend zone, right? The people that support us in our daily life. Our comrades at work fall into this place, and we might find love affair there. We might find, Venus is the planet of passion, and we might find, a significant love interest in our friend groups or something like that. Okay, next up we have Libra rising, which is placing this configuration in our 10th house. The 10th house, as we mentioned, is the house of public life, our career. This is where our most visible selves are seen. And it's not necessarily who we are in our identity, but it's how we're seen in the world. This can be in our job. This can be, for performers or content creators, it can be how our reputation is. And it's just any way that we're seen in like the public market arena, And so with Jupiter and Venus here, if you're a Libra rising, this might be an expression of, some really great things coming to you in your job. It might be a situation where you end up having a love affair with your boss. That could be something that happens here, or a subordinate at work. Or it could just be simply that you're able to finally bring cohesion to the team that you've been working on building at your job for quite some time. Maybe you're bringing that team cohesion where everybody starts to see each other as people that have feelings and need to be nurtured and sustained. And through that nurturing and sustaining of team members, we're able to create something bigger than ourselves and bigger than the organization that we're working for. So this is kind of like a very work-oriented kind of view of that. But there's, this abundance and passion within the public workspace. I mean, just think about how that might manifest. Next, we have the Scorpio rising, and we can see that with Scorpio rising, we land Jupiter and Venus in Cancer in the 9th house. This is the house of higher education, philosophy, spirituality, foreign lands and travels. This is really where we think about pilgrimage, where we go into the depths of our heart in an attempt to go out to the outer edges of the ineffable. The things that we think about and reflect on that really don't have any answers, but by reflecting on them, they seem to make our life richer somehow. Think about colleges and higher learning and philosophy. So with Jupiter here, Jupiter is naturally the sage in this house. Jupiter is naturally the teacher in the 9th house. And Venus, we can see as the student, right? So we have the teacher-student dynamic going on here. And we can see some really amazing things come out of your schoolwork. If you're in school, this could be, if you're an author of philosophy, this could be a time for really gelling and coming together with some deep theories about life, the universe, and everything. This could also be a time for Scorpio risings to head overseas, go take a trip to another country, or take a class, sign up for, a night class or audit something at your local community college or university. These are the kinds of things that we can think of that might be coming into play for our Scorpio rising friends. Next up, we have the 8th house. This is going to be relevant for all of us Sag risings. I myself am a Sag rising, and so this is relevant for me as well as everybody else there with Sag rising. Cancer falls in the 8th house, and Jupiter and Venus in this place. This is a place of deep integration work. I mean, I think of this place even more than the 12th house. This is the place of like psychedelic integration can be themed here, or any kind of work where we're incorporating experiences that are beyond us, experiences of the other, where we might have been traumatized in our lives. How do we integrate those kinds of things? So this is an integration house. Some of the classic topics are death, the inheritance from, others, our spouse's property, and things like this. So whether we're thinking along the lines of any of the classic topics of inheritance, property of others, the things that support our spouses and partners, or whether we're thinking a little bit more modern in the sense of integration work. This is a deep house and a time for Sag risings to really reflect on how to pull into our lives the wisdom that we receive from things that we can't quite control and that somehow come to us without any kind of manipulation on our part. They just kind of like come to us, or we can also be thinking about this as the debts that we might owe to others. And this could be a time where those debts become settled, So this is a time for those kinds of topics here for our Sag rising friends. Next, we have our Capricorn rising, and we can see here in the 7th house, our friends Venus and Jupiter are doing their thing over here. This is the house of partnerships, of contracts, of marriage, of one-on-one relationships. This is the house that's directly opposite the first house of the self. And so this is the house of the other. And because it's the place where the sun meets the earth in the setting, the sun is falling into the earth. This is the place where we seal the union of relationships through contractual means, through actual solidifying of those relationships. So we think of marriage for this, but this can also be business partnerships. We have these kind of contractual unions that take place. And Venus and Jupiter here for our Capricorn rising friends is an expression of really deep otherness, right? How do you see your partners, and how do your partners receive you? And you may find yourself just magnetized to your love interest. Maybe this is a new love interest, maybe an old lover, maybe your spouse, maybe this is somebody you're having an affair with, or maybe you're having a threesome, a menage a trois, or some other kind of expression of abundant passion in these relationships. If we're talking about business relationships, this can also be something that goes well for the striking of business deals that result in financial abundance and well-being. So we can take it in the realm of something that's more mundane like business, or more to the heart like a passionate lover or love interest, or an abundance of love interests, if you happen to be polyamorous or non-monogamous. So next we have Pisces rising. No, Aquarius rising. We skipped Aquarius. Let's go. We must only go 1 hour. Let's go for 1 hour. There we go. We can get to Aquarius rising. All right. So for Aquarius rising, we see that our little lovebirds here, Venus and Jupiter, land in the 6th house. Now, if we're for the 6th house, we're talking, this was traditionally known as the house of bad fortune. So I'm just laying it out there because it's out there in the public domain. However, we don't have to think of this as being a house of bad fortune per se. I mean, the things that are manifested because of 6th house topics often feel unfortunate. I will give you that. However, just having Jupiter and Venus here doesn't mean we're going to have an abundance of things that feel really crappy for us. But the other topics that come with the 6th house are things like our bodies and our health and the way that we serve others, and even things like small animals and our pets are signified in the 6th house. So with Venus and Jupiter meeting here, this could be an opportunity for Aquarius risings to get a clean bill of health at their annual physical. This could be a moment where, you get a new pet, a new animal, a puppy or a little kitten or a bunny rabbit or something like that. This could be an opportunity for increasing, the way that we serve others. We could develop a passion for service at a local nonprofit, or a homeless shelter, or any kind of public service could come out of this, where we develop a passion for that kind of thing in a way that works towards the Aquarian good of the global collective, right? So we can tie those Aquarian themes in there with that 6th house if we want to as well. Let's see. Next we have up Pisces rising. Now this puts Jupiter and Venus in the 5th house. The 5th house is the joy of Venus. This is where passion itself emanates in the houses. So we have not only the planet of passion, but the house of passion. And Jupiter and Venus here are just oozing with love, oozing with affection. This is the time to get juicy and romantic and bring out the flowers, box of chocolates, whatever you may like, rose petals on the bed, and just have an incredible romantic, light candles and the whole 9 yards. Do the whole thing, light candles, flowers and petals on the bed, the box of chocolate, flowers in the vase on the armoire, and just have a great evening. This is the time to be really juicy and passionate and sink into the quality of love itself. This is our Pisces rising experience of Jupiter and Venus being in the 5th house. At least I wish it on you all, Pisces rising. I wish this abundance upon all of you. So may it be manifested for you that you have such a lovely, juicy evening on the 11th or 12th. Next, we go to Aries rising. And with Aries rising, our lovebirds land in the 4th house of family, ancestry. This can be a time where we're really connecting to our ancestors, our roots, doing any kind of genealogical work, and finding a lot of new information. This can also be a time where parents do their family making business of making babies. I mean, the 4th house is a place where we make the babies that show up in the 5th house. And with Jupiter and Venus here, this is baby making time. So this is also a good time for, bringing some passion into the bedroom, into our lives, and romance. And, romance is so exclusivized in our culture, but bring romance into your friendships, bring romance into your life in general. Romance isn't something that has to have an object outside of you. Romance can be something that you feel within you. So yeah, just take this opportunity to bring romance into your heart and let that just be expressed with whoever you meet. It doesn't have to necessarily land as like a subject object. I have romance for this person. You can just be romantic. You can just be a hopeless romantic, or in this case, a Jupiterian romantic. All right, enough there. Let's move to the next. We've got the next one is Taurus rising, which puts Jupiter and Venus in the 3rd house. You can see that here. Here's our 3rd house. The 3rd house topics are siblings, your local neighborhood. This is the joy of the moon. And so we can really, this is an interesting thing because the moon, Cancer is the sign of the moon. So the moon is hosting Jupiter and Venus here. And the joy of the moon is really about how we communicate and relate to those closest to us, in our neighborhoods, in our communities. Yes, our families and our siblings, cousins, close relationships. It's also talking about, it's on that axis of the ninth, third house axis. So we're talking about education, but we're talking about not the philosophical, high-minded education. We're talking about the brass tacks education of getting stuff done. This is like just training. How do we train ourselves to do things? In a spiritual path practice, this is a training our mind, doing meditation every day, over and over and over again, training the mind to be a certain way, to operate in a certain way. Or this is the trainings on the job trainings or things like that. The topics of communication for the third house, sometimes people think they come from the 12-letter alphabet system and putting Gemini there, but actually they come from the moon, from this being the joy of the moon. And the moon is all about relating and interrelating with others. So if we think about Jupiter and Venus here, this is all about really expanding and juicifying our relationships with our communities and neighbors. And how do we make those more substantiable? How do we bring abundance and passion to those kinds of relationships and those kinds of ways of communicating? Then we move on to the Gemini rising, which places our Jupiter and Venus friends in the second house. The second house is the house of our resources that help support us. And this can be money, food, values that we like to stand on in our lives. This can be our lawyers and accountants, people that counsel us, our therapists can fall into this house. People that help us be who we are and the people that we need to be, and the circumstances that then support that life for ourselves. So Venus and Jupiter here can bring an abundance of wealth, of money, but it can also bring an abundance of anything that supports us. This could be, if we've been looking for the right divorce lawyer, this might be the time when you get the right divorce lawyer. Or if we've been looking for an accountant to help us out with that big tax problem, this could be the time for that. But it could also be the time where, a business deal has just been really great. And, maybe we sell that, if we're a realtor, we sell that house. And it's like the biggest house, most expensive house that we had in our stable, and it sells and we get a great commission, and boom, it lands on this day. So look out for anything, any of these kinds of things can really strike, but it's really to do with bringing passion and an abundant mindset to all of our resources and those things that support us in our lives and on our identity and who we are. Those are people, places, and things can all fall in that second house. After that, we're back to Cancer on the ascendant, and that concludes our look through the 12 houses and goes through all of our rising signs. So that's it for today. So this is a little bit different than the lunation video that I normally give for the full moon, but you can see the lunation video that I do for the full moon over on Nadia Shah's channel. And I welcome you, and I'm asking you, please go there and support Nadia on her channel. Subscribe to her channel. She's got incredible content, and like the video over there, comment on it, and I'll answer your comments over on her channel. And again, until next time, keep your eye on the sky and make a wish upon a star. Be well. Oh, and don't forget the coupon code in the description below. Birthday 2025, 50% off standard, basic, premium sessions, as well as 6-session coaching packages. So be well. And again, keep your eye on the sky and make a wish upon a star.